How do you go from losing absolutely everything, then making it all back and more with notes? Stay tuned to find out. Well, welcome back. We are here once again on Note School TV, live like we are every single Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. So make sure you're chiming in and participating as always. And the best way to do that, obviously, is two ways. Number one, you can go like these videos. Simply click the like button. It means a lot to us, and it tells us that we need to make more content similar to what we're doing today. And the other thing you could do is subscribe to the channel, because that's going to get you more and more content so that you can continue to develop your brain and develop your note business itself. And then really for this show specifically, probably the best thing you could do if you really want the most out of Note School TV is simply click the bell notification. This is going to alert your phones, hey, every, say, 30 minutes before we go live, that we're going to be live on YouTube or Facebook. And so you should chime in so that way you could say hello, tell us where you're from. Obviously, bring your questions, bring your business problems. Let's try to engage a little bit. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to always chat with you as we can. And so we've got a killer show, something that is, for those who know my story, this is very close to home. And I think that this might really kind of set into your brain really the possibilities that are really available in the note business. And really, no matter where you're coming from, where you can really go. And so we've got some incredible stuff we're going to share. But before we do that, I got two things I want to tell you. Number one, if you're trying to figure out really how does this work with notes and maybe what's your next step with notes, you can always go to noteschool.com/TV to learn a little bit more. And then the other thing that I got to tell you is we've got to find out what's happening in the news right now. And so I'm going to bring on my friend Joe Varnador to tell us what's happening this week in the news.
Thanks so much, Brian. And we have some amazing news today. So we're going to start out with a little bit of news about foreclosures. You know, we have been talking about non-performing loans and kind of what a deal that really is, as far as, well, it's a big deal, right? And we're going to see more and more and more. So foreclosures tick up in October. Foreclosures were up 5%, right, from September to October, which would be the latest stats that we have. And guys, 76% from a year ago. Now, it wasn't completely unexpected because of the foreclosure moratoriums ending about 3 months ago, and also the forbearance plans that are falling out as well, or that are also ending. But the states that had the biggest increases overall was Illinois, my state of Florida, New Jersey, and Ohio. So guys, this is just something that is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in the volume as time goes by. So we've been talking about Zillow, right, for the last couple of weeks and the challenges there. So I found this article, and it is Zillow's home sales fatten inventory for Wall Street landlords. Now, understand that Zillow has already written down its portfolio of 18,000 houses that it has, that it owns, that it bought, and taken a $304 million write-down on that. But now they're starting to sell them, and guess who wants to buy them? These are the Wall Street landlords like Cerberus Capital Management, KKR, Kohlberg, Kravitz and Robert, Tricon, and Tricon, by the way, is also owned by Blackstone. So they've got 18,000 houses to sell, and a player that has kind of entered the space here over the last year or so. And I bring this up because we've had it, we've talked about it over the last few weeks. And this is a company called Pretium. And Pretium is actually a hedge fund with $25 billion in capital. And interestingly enough, they bought about $1.12 billion in unpaid balance in loans from the last Fannie offering. And right now they are looking at buying about another $750 million in houses from Zillow. So these guys are a giant. And here's the good news, right? Never good news when somebody is losing their house, right? Obviously. But the good news for investors is that companies like Pretium, when they're buying from Zillow, they're buying here, they're going to keep what fits their model as far as direct to market rentals, single family rentals. And then the rest of those will end up being sold. And I can tell you that many of those will probably end up on our platform, our sponsor, Notes Direct. So guys, that is the news this weekend or this today. It is always interesting, and it is certainly never boring, right? So with that, let's bring on Note School's founder, chief visionary, my friend, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I am good. What do you think about that news, Eddie?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that Zillow is probably going to exit the portfolio to other hedge funds.
Yep.
And it's not surprising that, we've said this before, that loans that were delinquent even before the virus, Joe, there's 500,000 loans, call it another 3 million after the virus.
Right.
And as you mentioned, these big trades, there's going to be a waterfall of what happens with these loans. The hedge funds will keep a lot of them and they will sell a lot.
Right.
And those loans will end up in some smaller funds, not the guys that buy $1 billion worth necessarily. And they'll end up literally waterfalling down. And our guest today was part of that era back after 2008. So that was timely that we invited him and to tell his great story.
Amazing story, Eddie. It is. And just a piece about the notes about NPLs, non-performing loans. We will stay right on top of it. Will we not, sir?
We're going to absolutely stay on top of it. And this will be a conversation you guys should get used to, because there's going to be a lot of conversation about non-performing notes.
Absolutely. So our guest today, Eddie, as you said, he is an amazing young man. He's young to us, right? So I can't wait to see your talk with him today. You guys are in for a real treat. So, Eddie?
So, one of the things that I would have enjoyed the most about having a training company is to see people start out in their infancy stage, just sort of a kindergartner within our industry, and see them morph and evolve, and then see the end of the story of seeing them live in their dream city, in their dream house and stuff. And I'm grateful that he thanks me for that, but I remind him on a regular basis that I started out with really good clay to work with, right? He's been a great student. So I want you guys to welcome Mr. Imran Sarab. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
I tell him that you started out with, I started out with good clay with you, Imran.
Yeah, you have all kinds of metaphor. I learned a lot of metaphor from you.
Well, barnyard vernacular, right?
Yep.
So, by the way, I am filming this today from a remote location, but I did not want to be able to miss this interview. And so hanging out at kind of the land office today, out in the country a little bit, but really, really glad to have you. So I want to talk a little bit, Imran. Let's just kind of like you came from Bangladesh, right?
Yeah. I came from Bangladesh back in 1993 as a student. Yep.
And so give us a little bit of the history before you got into real estate, just so that we can get a sense of some kind of what your education was and why that influenced you.
Well, yeah, so I came to the US as a student. I studied electrical engineering. I got my bachelor's and master's degree in Bali. I studied in Texas A&M in College Station. And after graduated from college, I worked in semiconductor industry, working on microchips, and I worked in both hardware and software areas. I worked in companies like Texas Instruments, Intel, Motorola, and last job was with Medtronic making pacemakers. So I was working on the electronics for the pacemakers. That was my educational background. Do you want me to go through other?
Yeah, so I wanted just to kind of go forward a little bit. By 2006, you had really started buying a lot of property, right?
Yes, I bought a house back in 2002 in Tucson, Arizona. And then in 2005, I moved from Tucson to Phoenix with a job transfer or with a new job. And I sold my house, Tucson, and I made a lot of money. And I used to look into my bank account and I was like, how could I ever get that much money into my bank? So I was very excited and I thought, I'm an investor. I knew what I was doing and I just need to repeat that, and I can make a lot of money. So I ended up buying a lot of properties in 2005 and 6. And loans were very easy. I had very good W-2 and I got loans, but banks were even pushing me to take more loan when I did not want it. It was so easy to get loan. And I had millions of dollars of worth properties. I got land in Scottsdale. And I thought I was the king, I knew the game. And then things started to change. In 2008 and 9, everything started to fall through, and I was trying to save my properties. I was earning money from my job, and I was paying all these losing properties, the mortgages and stuff, trying to keep afloat. But at the end, I could not. In 2009, is basically the end. I basically lost all my properties through foreclosure or sale. And then when I was expecting my first son, and I lost my job 8 days before my son was born. I was devastated.
So you're losing all your property, and you guaranteed all these loans at the bank, right?
Yes.
And then right in the middle of that, you lost your job. And so Imran, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. When we come back from our sponsor break, I'm going to tell them about you're attending a very similar one-day class for the one that this commercial is about. And in 2012, it became an ultimate game changer in your life. We'll see you when we come back.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Brian with the teaching team here at Note School, and I'm excited that I get to be the one to invite you to the upcoming Gold in Notes class. That's right. It is a one-day deeper dive class that we call Gold in Notes because of how valuable this time spent is. This is a full day that we really get to dig into the nitty-gritty, the whole world of creative financing, not just how to acquire more deals, how to get access to more capital, how to defer a lot of the taxes for us as well as for the sellers that we're talking to, and really learn how to create your own notes. And really, once you learn how to create your own notes, this is really where we spend an entire afternoon really pulling back the curtain on what the note business is, from wholesaling notes, buying and holding performing notes to really build your wealth. I'll even show you a strategy called partials, which is by far the best wealth building tool I've ever seen in the real estate space. And we're definitely going to spend some time talking about non-performing notes, which is by far the biggest opportunity in today's marketplace, solely because of the events that have happened over the past couple of years. This is when people are not paying their mortgages, and we're going to make a lot of big money from these bad debts, and we're going to help a lot of people get a second chance. It's an absolutely fantastic day. Come spend a day really digging and discover a lot of this stuff so that you too can start building your wealth. It's a day meant to really be engaging. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your business problems, and we will see you there.
So Imran, you remember after 2000 and the 2009 debacle, losing your job and losing all these properties, then you really kind of went back in and started trying to buy real estate, right? And when you met me in 2012, I'd come to a real estate investment group in Arizona, right?
Yes.
And at that point, you were buying properties, but the rental property gig wasn't, well, you'd figured out maybe it wasn't all that was cracked up to be. Is that right?
I was buying fourplexes. They were very cheap, but oh my God, that was headache, drama, and sometimes I would be scared to go there. I would stay away from there and look from far. But yeah, I was fearful for my safety at some points. But I was buying them. I was making money, but oh my God, it was work. I learned a lot of stuff from there.
So one of the ways people have found Note School over the years is we've been invited to real estate investment investor groups around the country, and there was a big group in Phoenix, Azria. My good friend Alan there, and he invited us to come teach. And you ultimately came to one of these one-day classes, just like Brian was advertising, right?
Oh, definitely. So when I went to the meeting, before I went to the meeting, I was reading a book about being the bank and how banks are the ultimate wealth maker, how they make money out of thin air. And I always, after reading the book, I thought about being a bank myself. And when you came to the RIA meeting and you are talking about the same thing, what I have been thinking is the bank, being the bank, buying these loans and stuff. And I did not know about buying loans or notes. I had no idea, but you talked about being the banker and I got hooked. So you had 2 evenings and the Saturday class, one-day class. I attended that. And it was so much new information for me. And I have not heard about those things ever. I did not know those exist.
That's great.
And, but I was so excited. It's like I'm learning. I love learning. And a lot of people, including myself, was like, we're scratching our hands. Like, you gave so much. I mean, I'm not able to absorb. So I told myself, if it is, not so easy, it's a totally different field, I want to master that field because Eddie said that is banking and I want to be good at it. So I decided to join your 1 day and then 3 days classes and then the whole 9 years. Yeah,
you went from starting out at kind of the 1 day class, which is the basics, and we talk about different areas in the business. One of which was non-performing notes, which became your specialty. And within a year, you had gotten a good job again. But you left your job and became a full-time note guy.
Yep.
2013.
Yeah. I took action pretty quickly. Once I enrolled in the school, I took it very seriously. Before I went to bed, I'm listening to your archives. I'm driving, I'm listening. I'm going to work, I'm listening. During lunchtime, I'm not hanging out with people at lunch, I'm listening. I was so interested. It was so intriguing for me. And then I took action. I bought a loan. And then the first one I bought from, Martha, actually, she had some loan. And I did not have enough money to buy a loan at that time. So I took a loan against my car. I had a paid off car. And I took, $10,000 loan. And then I bought a loan from Martha. And
wow, my wife, Martha.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way it worked out, it was such exciting thing. It's like, I need to leave my job because, when the tapes come out, you have to scramble, you have to go through the research and there is limited time. And I had to, if I spend time at work, I was losing my time. So I decided that I need to make the transition. I need to focus. I really need to have laser focus on this. And because of that note, I felt confident. I did not know that it's going to be, I'll be successful or not, but I felt confident enough that I wanted to make that jump. And I did. And then I started focusing. And then you had classes in many different cities. And as a mentoring student, I could go to all those. And I took my kids, they were little boy. 2 boys and my wife used to drive around to California, San Diego, Newport, Orange County, to Las Vegas, to Denver, Dallas. I loved, it changed everything. We had so much fun while learning.
I've seen you a lot of places. I've even seen you on cruises in Alaska before, literally, you and your whole family. So you've made the lifestyle thing work. There's so many cool things that you've done. I know we have a limited time, but you just have made the lifestyle thing work. In fact, I remember there was a good period of time that you were spending like probably half of the year in another country. You were like going wherever you wanted to go.
Yes.
So you can make the virtual thing work for Notes. It didn't matter where you were.
Exactly. It's all I needed was email and phone. And when I'm in Europe, I'm just doing email and I'm just communicating with my attorneys, my servicing companies. And I travel a lot. I go on vacation, and during the weekdays I'm hiking, while all my colleagues are still working in the companies, but I'm everywhere I want to. But I spend a lot of time, in different countries because I love traveling. And once you learn this, you really don't need to spend a lot of time. You just strategy, network, and you have a lot of support that you can, use. So it's the education is really the key here.
So Imran, you have some incredible case studies. You have numerous incredible case studies, too numerous to even name, literally. But you have a case study that sticks out in my head because you bought a note. Now, this was a process, and we won't get into all the minutiae today, but it wasn't like a 10-minute deal. It took some while for this all to unfold. You had a case study that you ultimately had about $60,000 investment in, right? Including legal fees. It was a non-performing note. You remember that case study?
Oh yeah. It was long process, and I had to face a lot of challenges. And with the help, I could ask questions. That gave me the confidence that if I get stuck, I can ask questions because I don't have all the answer. I can't. But I need the experts. So I ran into a lot of roadblocks, and I brought into those issues and get advice. And sometimes it's so easy for you, but I lose sleep. And then I come to you and you give the answer. That helps a lot, and the confidence is big. And I eventually, made pretty good amount of money. It was very good payday.
Well, I want to be specific here, okay? You had a deal with $60,000 invested. We're rounding it off. How much profit does this deal make?
Yeah, it was. I actually made over $325,000 profit net.
How much?
325,000 plus.
You have a deal that you have $60,000 invested in, and the profit on this deal is over $325,000. I would say, is that your little bell that goes off every once in a while? Your little sparkly thing?
No, it was the biggest one, but I routinely get. I routinely get 40, 50, 60, 70,000, 80,000 chunks here and there. Not 300,000, but yesterday I got paid $47,000. Just yesterday it came to my bank.
And you had already recouped your money. You'd already recouped your investment.
Oh yeah, this was the last pay, but I already recouped most of my investment. And the borrower decided to refinance or sell. I don't know. They just asked for a payoff amount, and we gave it to them, and the money came in. And
so
this year,
we've circled back in the industry, right? We've circled back. When you joined Note School, there was lots of non-performing notes. And then probably around 2015, 16, 17, they started kind of tailing off, right?
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, we've entered this era. You heard Joe talk about it on the news today, and you hear us talk about it frequently. Now, we've re-entered this era with all these non-performing notes again. Now, that's really what you became a specialist in, and it's very ironic that we had you on the show because now we're re-entering that very cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
Last
excite
pool
you?
of Oh, definitely. I mean, you're right. The note supply pretty much dried up. The last big pool I bought was in 2018, and nothing. I could not buy anything in 19, 20, 21. You know, it's just I did not like what I saw. Whatever is remaining, but yeah. So I'm waiting for the next wave to come in, and I can see it's coming. You know, as the data shows. So I'm excited, and I'm prepared. I'm waiting.
That's awesome. No, the inventory is dumping right now. It's, you know, we have a couple of hedge funds that will list about as many assets on Notes Direct as we're able to successfully move in the marketplace. So I'm saying it's a good time to go jump in the water and get wet on this again, right? And you're good at it. I want to talk to you. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is what I think really matters most of all. And I wanted to bring Joe and Brian back to do that, because what you've experienced is not your what, but your why.
Yeah.
Right? Joe?
You know what? And Imran has been, you know, he's been an amazing person, right? I mean, he's that guy, that avatar that we always talk about. He takes action. This is a guy, folks, and he's very humble about this, right? He comes over from Bangladesh by himself at 18 years of age with $5,000 to go to college in another foreign country called Texas, right? Works 2 or 3 jobs while everybody else is going on spring break, and gets a master's in engineering, and just goes through it and lives the life. And Imran, what I'm so proud of you for, and you know what you've accomplished is, you know, your dream had always been to live in DC, right, with your family. Tell us just a little bit about that, man.
Well, so after I got into Note, I realized, you know, I'm really free from any geographic location, and I could choose to live wherever. I can go whenever, and it truly happened to me. So we decided to move, and we wanted to come to the East Coast. My wife has a lot of friends in this area, and we picked this location. It's very expensive. You know, it's a neighborhood. It's a DC suburb. All the ambassadors live here, a lot of politicians and CEOs. It's a very good neighborhood.
Right.
I never dreamed of actually having a house here. I mean, I walked here and stuff, but I set my mind. I had dream about it. And my wife, we walked around, walked on this area a lot. And we started, you know, Eddie was talking about creative financing and how to find these deals from sellers and stuff. And, you know, I hear all the case study, but I come to this place and these are, you know, pretty expensive houses, and I could not here. And a lot of people hear about it and it's like, really, you went to that neighborhood for door knocking? I didn't really get it. These guys are talking about finding the deal, and I just did. You know, some of them have big gates and stuff. You know, but anyway, eventually, I was able to buy the house, and I still remember I used to walk this road and I see this exotic tree, nice flower, and I always tell my wife, what flower is this? Such a beautiful house. If I could have a house here, that would be nice. And I'm living in that house today. It just...
Microphone drop, Imran. Great job. It was all you, dude.
Yeah. But what happened is, you know, I look back and I always thank all the people that made me. And this note that I had no idea about that it existed. And when I heard Eddie and I started following him and learning it, and I saw being the bank, and this is like an ultimate wealth builder, really is. You don't have to work. I mean, I study a lot, I read a lot, but actual work is not that much. It's all about knowledge, networking. And through the Note School, I got network. I met so many people. I learned from a lot of people. And then the thing is, what Note School offers, I am using this much. I mean, this is way above my head. I can't wrap my head around all this stuff that he talks about. It's just too much. So I only focus in little space, and I'm doing well. someday I will get into more, but it's just too much for me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll jump in here too and say that, like, for what you just said, it's a perfect example. So many people, they want the idea that they can earn while they learn. You didn't have to become the next Eddie Speed to start making $300,000 on a deal, right? That's a pretty big tell. And I think that, one of the biggest things that I want people to get from your story is that everyone has a why. Everyone has a thing they really want their life to look like, or something kind of in that vein. But where most people are lacking is, I just don't have an opportunity that could get me there. And what we found, right, is that Notes is an opportunity for everybody. Even if you come here with a little bit of money, even if you had just lost your job, so it's one of those things of, this isn't a traditional old bankers game where it's, you got to have a lot of money to be able to play the game, right? There's so many ways to do this without a ton of capital. And I think that's a very strong story for so many people, because if you can just get started, if you can just take one step, it's amazing how one step at a time can really start to get you to a place that you really want. And I think you're just a perfect example of that. So kudos to you.
And Brian, you know what? There's a smart guy that I know, and he describes it like this. He said, the way you learn this business is one thin layer of paint at a time, right? Guy's name was, Eddie Speed.
That's right.
Imran, you're a great student. You're an inspiration to a lot of people. And I really, we just enjoyed every step of the way with you. I'm so proud for you. Really, I can't tell you how much that means to hear about your ending up in DC in this kind of dream house that you could not imagine yourself being in a few years ago. And just, look, let me just say this. I know that we have a lot of experience and we can train people to do a lot of things, but it's all about action. And I want to congratulate you at the highest level. You saw the opportunity and you pursued it. And that is the first step. Brian, take us out.
All righty, sir. Well, absolutely. I think this has been a great episode of Note School TV. Once again, it kind of gives a little bit different perspective, right? If you have that goal, if you have that dream of, here's where I want to be, here's where I want to live, here's what I want to do, I know that's inside of you, and I know that you dream that. And so it's a matter of, how can we help you on this journey, right? All of us are starting in different places, all of us with probably different resources and things like that in our life. But how can we take you one step at a time? And I would encourage you to start looking into this space. If nothing else, simply, hey, start participating here in Note School TV. You can always like these videos. That tells us to make more of them, and subscribe to the channel so that you're consistently getting more and more. And as always, like I say at the beginning, you got to click the bell, right? The bell is going to tell you that we're going live so that you can get the latest and greatest ahead of everybody else, so that you're live in the show. And probably for the rest of you, it's just a matter of, a great next step is go to Note School TV or noteschool.com/TV to take that step and really learn what that looks like. And if you're just like on fire, you're ready to go and you need to get going right now, go to noteschool.com. There's a contact us tab. Just click it and fill out your information, and someone from the team will reach out. We'll try to figure out how we can help you get going on your journey, whatever that needs to look like. So thank you everybody for hanging around for the show. As always, it's totally fun to do this. It's always great to see everybody online. I hope you have a really great week, and we will see you on the other side.